to introduce my good friend and buddy in the ministry, who's going to speak on keeping Christmas in our hearts, our own Reverend Judy Andersen.
Last time I was up here, I didn't bring my cane with me. And when it was time to get up after doing the talk, I had to wait for somebody to come and help me. And you know what they did? All right, let's take a minute or two for an opening spiritual mind treatment. In this moment, I honor the all that is. I honor what I choose to call God, the presence, spirit, universal spirit, the one. The name isn't important, but I invite that presence to be with each one of us here today, helping us maybe to dive a little more fully into the Christmas experience with a wider viewpoint and an open heart, as we strive to remember to honor Christmas in our heart and try to keep it all the year. As the great writer Charles Dickens told us at the end of the story, The Christmas Carol. And this is our message today. And I ask that all our hearts be open to that message, to keep Christmas in our hearts and try to keep it all the year with the ever-present Spirit guiding each one of us. I know that this can be our reality. With loving thanks, I release these words, knowing it is done, and so it is. So, we've got so many things about Christmas out there. Anybody tired of shopping? No? All right. Anybody happy doing their baking? Yes. Anybody happy being or looking forward to time with family and friends? Yes. That's what it's all about. Excuse me, I'm having a cramp in my ribs and it's giving me a few problems. All right. Well, no, that is not a reality in my experience. Quite a few years ago, Ernest Holmes wrote a letter about Christmas. And that's exactly what it's called, a Christmas letter by Ernest Holmes. And after the service, I'm going to post this to my own Facebook account and to the Center's Facebook account so that if you want to be able to print it off for yourself, you will be able to. So we're going to do this, a paragraph of his, and I might talk about it a bit or go to my own notes. But Christmas is for remembrance. The love manifesting through our gifts to each other typifies the offering of life, the givingness of spirit to its creation. The hands of the eternal are outstretched through our hands, and the heart of the infinite beats in the human breast. But the giver must give of himself, for the gift without the giver is bare. And that line came from a poem called something or other of Sir Lancelot. It's by James Russell Lowell. And that full quotation was, "The Holy Supper is kept, indeed, to what in whatso we share with another's need. Not what we give, but what we share. For the gift without the giver is bare. Who gives himself with his gift feeds three, his hungering neighbor and me. From the vision of Sir Lancelot. So the remembering of the preciousness of giving and the connections that givingness gives us. When we give a gift, pardon me, when we give a gift with ourselves included in the gift, with our love and our caring in it, the gift itself may be worth $5 or $500. But if it is given from our hearts, if it is given from the true spirit of Christmas and sharing, then it's invaluable. And it's one of the reasons I wore this scarf today. A dear friend went on a week's course in Italy, a painting workshop. She does sculpture and painting, all kinds of good stuff. But I wore this today because, you know what, there's more things celebrated at this season of the year than Christmas. There's the winter solstice. There is Kwanzaa. There is, I wrote these things down here, there's Hanukkah, there's Diwali or Bodhi Day. There's religious practices throughout the world. And to me, I wore my Christmassy blouse, but the many colors in this scarf, to me, represent all of the other philosophies that are celebrating something in this season, whether it's as simple as the observance of the winter solstice, of light coming back into the world after a time of darkness, whether it is the birth of a child that was called Jesus. It's all precious. And to me, the many colors of the scarf represent that it isn't a one thing, that it's an all thing. And the other twist to this is that here we take it for granted everybody is celebrating the winter solstice. Guess what? In the southern hemisphere, they're celebrating the longest day of the year, which is also something to celebrate. But it tells us that we need to keep our minds open to the value of different experiences. Russ, can you cut this? It seems to be echoing. We'll move it out a little bit. Is that better? All right. I think I've got it solved. But this Christmas season and all of its colors and all of its variety, I won't say the Christmas season, this celebration season. And yes, in our Western philosophy, we tend to use it as a celebration of the birth of that precious being, this man called Jesus, who taught us a different way, who brought us out of the time of the Mosaic law, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and brought us into an era of love. That you forgive those who trespass against you. You bless those who despitefully use you. You bless, and you bless, and you bless. It's not only your family members, it's not only your dearest friends, but it's that person sitting on the curb with a can of beer and a hat, hoping someone will share some change with him. It's the people who are fighting in the Middle East. It's for every being on this planet. And as I got into in the meditation often teaches me my talk and takes it away from my written stuff. But it's the phrase, which is one of our songs, I am you, you are me, we are one. And this is my goal for this coming year. The Dickens quotation I'll honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. It doesn't mean that we honor it between here and the 1st of January or even the 12 days of Christmas or however many some groups celebrate. How can we remember to celebrate it, to keep that spirit in our hearts all the year? The desire to give and to share, to honor, to respect. And I've come up with a way that I can do it. And if anybody keeps a written journal, it's really easy. If you write on the top of each page before you do your journaling, I honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it every day of this year. Or maybe just I honor Christmas in this day. Think of what a difference it could make. I'll do it on my computer, and because I create or find some words of wisdom to post on Facebook every day, I'll probably put that as a beginning line, not on what I post, but for myself, before I start typing out or copying and pasting the message, that I honor Christmas every day this year, or I honor the spirit of Christmas this day, even if it's May 20th or November 15th. Does it make some sense? A reminder to be as kind on November 15th as we are on December 25th. This is what I got out of those words from Dickens. The story of the old curmudgeon turning into a joyful, joyous, giving human being is a wonderful story, a story of redemption. And it's one that we can remember. So if I have my days of being a grump, I can remember this is another day of Christmas. I can reimagine the spirit of Christmas, the spirit of giving, the spirit of loving and accepting and blessing instead of cursing. I can do that today. And I can make that promise to myself every day. This is how we keep Christmas in our hearts. Not referring to the theological idea of Christmas as a holy day, but Christmas as a day to turn from retribution and give as much as you take kind of thing, but a day of remembering that it's about loving and giving. And I've never seen a happy person in my life, someone who is pretty much perpetually happy, who wasn't also a giving person. A giver seems to be happier than some of the rest of us. The beautiful lady who brought me this scarf, she's a very giving person. And she has, where I'm left without much family. I've got one sister who lives on the BC coast. Both of my brothers are gone. And my parents obviously are gone. And I have some nephews and nieces, but they're all down east and I never really got to know them. They're on my father's side of the family. So the people who have welcomed me into their family, so that on Mother's Day, I'm one of the mothers they celebrate, even though I'm only a stepmother. On Christmas, I'm invited to be part of their Christmas day as part of their family. And we can all do that. We can reach out to other people and to make them part of our family for the Christmas season. And guess what? Honor it all the year. And if we live like that, 365 days next year, except next year it'll be 366, right? It's a leap year. But anyway, I'm going to get back to Ernest Holmes' letter. The next paragraph. It is not, then, in lavish gifts that we find true giving, but in the sweet simplicity of remembrance, in the kindly thought, the tolerant mind, and the gentle act. Love alone can give love. Sympathy alone can sympathize, and only goodness can really do or be good. So that's a bit of a challenge. If we want to be all this nice stuff and experience it all, we need to be goodness. So how many of us are judging ourselves right now? Am I goodness or am I nasty? Am I the lump of coal in somebody's stocking or am I the sugar plum? And that, you know what, that's one of our biggest problems in life, is judging ourselves too harshly. You know what, each one of us came into this world as a perfect, precious new life. And each new life, just as we think of the baby Jesus, Jesus was a real person. He had a real day of birth. Maybe not exactly as it's described in the Bible, but he was a real infant, loved by his parents and presumably by an extended family. So were you. Can you honor yourself as the infant you came into this world as, and honor yourself as a precious being today? Can you remember how important you were to your parents? You are still important. You're still important to somebody. You're still an important part of this entire world. Just like the jigsaw puzzle. You know what happens if you lose one piece of it? Your puzzle isn't complete. So it takes every one of us to make our world complete. We each have our part to play. We each have a place in the universe, on this earth. And every day that we live and breathe has meaning. So remember to celebrate yourself and be giving and caring to yourself, as well as to your friends and family. And back to Ernest. The one who gives for reward does not give at all. He seeks to bargain, to trade for spiritual gifts. Hence, he senses loss on his own giving and finds no completion through the act. But he who gives half his meat to feed the hungry feels justified and is warmed by a real sense of comradeship. He has established an actual unity between himself and other offsprings of creation. So that's back again, the bit about who gives himself with his gift feeds more than just his hungering neighbor. That is the trick with our gifts. We might select them, be worrying about our finances, be worrying about what someone might like or whether they might not like it. But if we give ourselves, when we write a check to the Salvation Army or to, well, the societies that feed the hungry, are you just writing a check and getting rid of it? Or are you sending yourself along with that check? When you hit the send, to send, I can't think of their names, but there's groups here in Red Deer that provide meals for people who are hungry. There are shelters that provide beds for people who have no home. When we donate, are we giving of ourselves so that there is more than cash to support that agency? Are we truly giving with every financial gift we give? It's easy to just put a $5 bill in the Salvation Army bucket, but are we giving ourselves and feeling it when we do that? Because that's what will bring miracles with the gift of cash that we give. It's so much more than a piece of paper if we give ourselves along with it. And so, Ernest, great causes succeed when there is a giving of humanity. With the check must come the one who wrote it. His interest, his enthusiasm, his love. The check must be a symbol of his desire to impart himself. Then shall it multiply its benefits and do good. Charity is cold, but love is warm. When heart speaks to heart, a divine conversation has taken place, a heavenly discourse. Aren't those words wonderful? Each of us has something to give. Let each see that he gives of his best. If we are bringing our gifts to the altar of love, nothing less than the best would be acceptable. Nothing less than all is enough. May the real spirit of Christmas, the giving of self to life, enter and abide in you now and through all time. And that's our Ernest Holmes letter about Christmas. So I'm looking at some of the notes I had written. And there's a couple things out of that I still want to share. Yeah, maybe just a wee bit. I and you am alive, awake, and aware. How can I reset? You know, you reset your computer or your router once in a while when something's going haywire. So what I've written is, how can I reset to keep Christmas all the year? Which is pretty much what we've been talking about. So it's not news. I can do that by remembering, by doing what is mine to do, by giving of myself along with my gift, or my contribution, or whatever, not only during the Christmas season, but all the year. I am you. You are me. We are one. And Edith, I hope you do that song soon for Sunday service. It is so important to get that, and that it applies not just to those of us in this room, not just of those who celebrate something called Christmas, but those who are celebrating all of the other colorful and wonderful celebrations at this time of year, whether it is merely the coming of the light back into the world, or whether it's a celebration of another ritual or celebration of some kind. We are one, not only with each other, not only with this community, not only with the people in this country or the Northern Hemisphere, but with the Southern Hemisphere. We can celebrate with them the longest day of the year and the wonderful things that go along with that. We can celebrate knowing that there's somebody down at the tip of South America that is maybe feeding the penguins while we're sitting here looking at feeding ourselves. But it's a big world filled with people that we are one with, or we can be at one meant with. And that is my wish for each of us today, that we can feel a greater at one meant with each other and all of the others, even if we don't know their faces or their names. At one meant is beautiful. At one meant is the teaching of Jesus and all of the other great spiritual teachers. At one meant is the nature of the universe. It is ours. It is ours to encompass in our own being. And I know for each one of us that we are willing to do that, and to know that I am you, and you are me, and we are one. And so it is.